So, on this note, may I humbly invite Brigadier General Daniel Mishio, a former commander of the 64th Battalion, who was also in action on that day, to also give us another aspect of the story. These are all, live survivors who saw the action freely. So, Daniel Mishio.
Hey! Thank you very much. I'm coming on the heels of survivors. And it was very interesting when somebody said, I think when you look back to that date, I don't know how many people were born at that time. But I'm going to talk mostly about those who were there and a few things for us for the future. Comrades, seniors, and juniors, our Cadres, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today we gather not merely to recall a date in our history, but to reaffirm a duty, a solemn obligation to honor the gallant men and women who stood firm in the face of betrayal and chaos. June 19, 1983 marks more than an attempted coup d'etat. It is a line forever drawn in the sands of our revolutionary struggle. On that day, the enemies of the people, led by Corporal Carlos Halidu Jiwa and Sergeant Abdul Malik, the names that we were to mention, sought to roll back the hard-won gains of the June 4th uprising and the principles it enshrined, and that is probity, accountability, justice, and self-service. But the people would not be silenced. The revolution would not be reversed. The Ghana Armed Forces, alongside the United Cadres Front, born in the crucible of the revolution, rose with clarity, courage, and conviction. They knew that the blood of our martyrs and the hopes of our youth could not be destroyed on the altar of selfish ambition. In their vigilance and resistance, they defended not just a government, but a vision. A Ghana that serves all its people, not the privileged few. Comrades, ladies and gentlemen, the history of June 19, 1983 cannot be fully told without recounting the difficult socio-economic situation of that period that was exacerbated by famine due to economic situation of that period. And I don't know how many of us still remember the famine. And this was due to severe drought and bushfires that severely diminished crop production, resulting in substantial losses in crops and livestock. The consequences were widespread malnutrition and extreme hunger. To make matters worse, Ghana was hit by very high inflation and the challenge of accommodating over 1 million Ghanaians expelled from Nigeria. It was in the midst of these happenings that some misguided members of the armed forces, teleguided by some selfish, reactionary elements in and outside the country, on November 23, 1982, succeeded in capturing for a while part of Gonda Barracks, where I commanded, Burma Camp, in an attempt to overthrow the PNDC regime. When the situation was returned to normal, several arrests were made, and this has been well recounted. And the suspects were put on trial, but some Corporal Jiwa managed to escape from prison on June 19, 1983, and took part in that attempted coup d'etat together with Sergeant Abdul Malik. There are other names that we don't intend to elaborate on, but the history is there for us all to know. It is noteworthy that the coup came very close to overthrowing the ruling PNDC, but for the prompt intervention of some gallant men and women and cadres, as has already been recounted, so I won't go back to that. Let us never forget the price we paid on that day. Let us remember those who stood between freedom and anarchy, those who refused to trade their uniforms and their conscience for treachery. In their honor, we must continue the work of the revolution. And the revolution is not just about carrying guns and weapons, it's in the mind. We have to continue building institutions that are just, ensuring leadership that is accountable, and nurturing a citizenry that is empowered and patriotic. Comrades, ladies and gentlemen, United Cadre Front has come a very long way since 1983 and has gone through even more difficult challenges through the days of the PNDC, the first democratic government under President Jerry John Rawlings, and the second democratic government of the NDC under President John Evans Atta Mills, that was continued by President John Dramani Mahama after the painful demise of our late President Atta Mills. The UCF continued to remain relevant but played key roles in the activities of the NDC under the first term of President Mahama. Perhaps the most obvious changes, and if you look around you will see, perhaps the most obvious changes seen in UCF are the aging members, majority of whom are battling with various ailments, and the dwindling numbers who are struggling to survive due to low sources of income. This has necessitated the urgent recruitment of young cadres nationwide. Nonetheless, the spirit of cadres has never been in doubt. This is why the theme, Resetting Ghana, Reflections of June 19, is appropriate. Going back to the theme, Resettling Ghana, Reflections on June 19th, the challenges of our current period reflect a different, but that need to be dealt with, and I'll explain very shortly. You will recall that the forward march of the revolution was truncated in January 2001 after the MPP and the President Kufuor were voted into power during the December 2000 elections. The people returned the NDC to power in 2009 under President Mills, whose tragic demise led to President Mahama, then Vice President, taking over to complete the uncompleted term of President Mills, and subsequently won power on his own account to continue the good work of President Mills. Unfortunately, the NDC lost power again to the MPP under President Nana Akufo-Addo, who promised the moon to Ghanaians before winning power. Over the past 8 years, our beloved nation has experienced setbacks, hardships that threaten our very future. Corruption has sapped our resources. Illegal mining, commonly known as galamsey, has devastated our environment, polluting our rivers and destroying our lands. Incidents of indiscipline, lawlessness, and impunity have eroded the very fabric of our society, and we can all see it around us. Resetting Ghana would therefore require the resistance of all patriotic citizens against not just corruption and other negative behaviors, but against conforming to the status quo of the past 8 years. And that is very important. This is where the cadres, who have always played a crucial role in supporting governance with patriotic zeal, come in. On this occasion, therefore, we salute not only the gallant soldiers of June 19th, but also the cadres and patriotic citizens of Ghana who stood up on that day. Comrades, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we commemorate June 19th, let it not be an event of the past, but a call to vigilance and duty now and in the future. The struggle for justice and equity remains. Let us be very conscious that the enemies of the people have changed their tactics, but not their aims and objectives. It is up to us, the descendants of the revolution, to remain vigilant, steadfast, and principled. Fellow cadres, ladies and gentlemen, it is said that a nation that does not honor its heroes is not worth dying for. A lot of cadres have sacrificed their lives for the nation without any form of recognition. There are still some who are alive but virtually abandoned with nowhere to turn to. I will start passing it to our honorable chairman here. He's the senior general. So on this auspicious occasion, as we celebrate another anniversary of June 19th, I would like to make a passionate appeal to the leadership of the great NDC party and the presidency to look inside and all around and identify such cadres and living heroes and recognize their contributions before they pass away. At least they should enjoy some fruits of their labor before they die, especially now that our beloved party is in power. Long live our great nation, Ghana. Long live our great party, NDC. Long live the Ghana Armed Forces. Long live the United Cadres Front. Long live the ideals of the June 4th. And may we continue to honor the brave defenders of June 19th. Revolutionary greetings to all of us here. Thank you.